welcome the anointed ones. Listen closely, because this word is about to expose why your life has been shifting in strange, quiet, almost invisible ways. You've been asking why doors seem delayed, why money hasn't come when you prayed, why you keep being pulled back into seasons of refinement. And the answer is bigger than wealth. You're not just becoming rich, you're becoming resourceful. Heaven is not preparing you to flash numbers on a bank screen. Heaven is preparing you to carry strategies, solutions, and systems that will outlive you. Because money is a current, it flows, it shifts, it comes and goes. But resourcefulness is wealth in motion. It means that no matter what economy does, no matter who pulls their support, no matter how the market crashes, you will never be broke again because you've become the wealth. You are not chasing money. Money is chasing you. Because you have been trained to multiply what's in your hand, even when it looked like nothing. Think back to those seasons when you barely had enough, when you stretched one meal into 3, when you took rejection after rejection and still found ways to keep moving. Those weren't just struggles. Those were lessons in resourcefulness. Heaven was shaping your mindset, upgrading your vision, teaching you that true wealth isn't in what you hold, it's in what you know how to create. Because if you only depend on money, you will always be vulnerable to those who can take it away. But if you become resourceful, you can start again, rebuild, and multiply from any level. That's why God delayed certain breakthroughs. He wasn't punishing you, He was teaching you to build without applause, to invest without validation, to create without a crowd. And now you've reached a point where you are dangerous to every system that tried to keep you small, because you've become self-sustaining. You are no longer at the mercy of handouts, opinions, or trends. You carry wisdom that will not expire, and that wisdom is the real currency. Chosen one, money doesn't change you, it magnifies you. And this is why heaven had to make sure your core was clean before the blessing arrived. If you were insecure, the money would have made you reckless. If you were bitter, the money would have made you controlling. If you were broken, the money would have become your mask. But now, because you endured the silence, because you survived the stripping, because you walked through seasons of lack and learned discipline, you're ready to hold wealth without letting it hold you. You see, many pray for sudden wealth, but sudden wealth without preparation destroys more people than it blesses. That's why you can't compare your timeline to theirs. Some who flashed early fell quickly because they weren't resourceful. They had money, but they didn't have stewardship. They had cash, but they didn't have clarity. You, on the other hand, have been built differently. Every tear, every delay, every rejection was recalibrating you for generational wealth that doesn't just feed your ego, it funds your assignment. That's why lately your vision has been shifting. You're not thinking in days anymore, you're thinking in decades. You're not chasing quick validation, you're building long-term systems. You're learning how to multiply not just money, but influence, opportunities, and solutions. And that is why your abundance will last. Anyone can get rich for a moment, but not everyone becomes resourceful enough to stay elevated. When you are resourceful, you are never empty, because the resource lives in you. You carry divine blueprints. You carry strategies hidden from the world. You carry creativity that the market can't price. And that is why doors will start opening for you, not because of what's in your account, but because of what's in your spirit. Institutions will study you. Gatekeepers will test you. But they will be shocked to see that what fuels you isn't temporary wealth, it's eternal wisdom. And that wisdom makes you untouchable, because even if they strip you of things, they can't strip you of who you've become. You've probably noticed how some people reacted when you started moving differently. They said you changed. They accused you of being distant. They mocked you for being too serious, too disciplined, too focused. What they didn't realize is that resourceful people can no longer waste energy on survival mode drama. You've outgrown circles that only talk about lack, gossip, and limitation because you're being trained for legacy. And legacy builders don't have time for distractions. You see, money can buy followers, but resourcefulness builds communities. Money can rent influence, but resourcefulness creates movements. That's why your glow feels so threatening to those who once mocked you, because you're no longer performing for acceptance, you're building for impact. And while they're counting dollars, heaven is counting destinies tied to your obedience. And yes, your rise will trigger envy. Sudden wealth always does. But what will really confuse people is how steady you remain, because they will expect you to lose yourself in the spotlight, to drown in the noise, to get lost in the temptation. Instead, they'll watch you stay rooted, grounded, strategic. They'll wonder how you keep multiplying when others are wasting. And the answer will be simple. You didn't just chase money, you became resourceful. You became the kind of vessel heaven trusts with ideas that disrupt, projects that heal, visions that outlive generations. You became the kind of person who doesn't flex blessings, but funds breakthroughs. And that kind of wealth cannot be stopped, because it's not about appearance, it's about assignment. You need to hear this clearly. You were never called just to shine, you were called to shift. And that shift requires more than status. It requires structure. God has been reprogramming your mind so you see wealth not as trophies, but as tools. Tools to build, tools to heal, tools to break cycles. That's why He didn't give it to you when you begged. That's why He didn't release it when you compared yourself to others. He was waiting until you could see beyond yourself, until you could look at money and not feel the urge to prove people wrong, but the urge to lift people up, until you could steward without ego, give without guilt, and lead without fear. That is resourcefulness. And once it's inside you, no one can take it away. Chosen one, you are not just entering abundance, you are entering authority. You are not just collecting wealth, you are carrying wisdom. And this wisdom will make you unshakable in a world that trembles at every shift in the market. You will fund what others only dream of. You will birth solutions others said were impossible. You will hand down strategies your children and their children will live from. And when people ask how you did it, your answer won't be luck. It won't be hustle. It won't be connections. It will be alignment. Because heaven trusted you enough to make you not just rich, but resourceful. So stand tall in this season. Don't shrink when the opportunities start appearing. Don't apologize for the favor on your life. Don't doubt yourself when sudden wealth shows up in your account. Remember who you've become. Remember the training, the silence, the discipline, and use every blessing as a weapon of restoration, not a mask of validation. Because the world has enough people chasing money. What it doesn't have is enough chosen ones who have become resourceful. And you, child of purpose, are that answer. If this message resonated with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with another chosen one who needs confirmation. Leave your testimony below, because your story may unlock someone else's faith. And make sure you stay connected, because every word released here is part of your preparation. You're not just surviving. You're not just waiting. You're becoming resourceful. And when that kind of wealth hits, nothing and no one can take it away.